I'm a big 6-0.
Everyone muted, Kate? Like
Is anything in the meeting last
Jesus, what? Oh, there you go. I wasn't there.
That was
Yeah, it's a good stuff happening.
This is like a cone of silence. You can't hear anything.
One more minute by my Apple phone, not by my iPad.
oh, look, the clock is still.
It's still 2 minutes ahead, and the clock is It's got big numbers too. You can read it from here. Nice.
Yeah, the batteries.
Batteries change. It's right on.
It's upgrades everyone.
Look at that. What do we got? 20 seconds to countdown.
How's our council Yeti doing? All right.
He's on mute.
I mean,
He's good.
okay. I like it.
I'm glad those are the only figures.
3, 2, 1.
Good.
Okay. Let's call our town council meeting to order and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilor Angelica Stetson,
Here.
Mayor Kaczynski,
Here.
Councilor Luddy.
Here.
Councilor Pianessa.
Here.
Councilor Wassel.
Here.
Councilor Yonada.
Here.
Councilor Beach. Here. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Okay. Thanks, Kate. On to our first order of business is our audience of citizens. If anyone wishes to address the council on anything on the agenda or any other thing they want to talk about, now would be your time.
I guess I'll hop in. My name is Tobias Heady. I'm a resident of the town for about a year now. I live on Old Brickyard Lane in what is now I believe, special use, it's a non-residential building in an industrial area. I'm addressing you this evening because as of recently, Thomas Kokomo, who owns the property, has attempted to evict me because I am the second person on the parcel. And from what I understand, he has a big, huge warehouse he just built that he cannot get a CO on while there are 2 residents of that property. I'm just addressing you this evening because when I was a little kid, my grandmother taught me that it wasn't okay to bully people. And I've seen an awful lot of that in this town from Mr. Kokomo. He seems to get his own way through lawsuits or through threat of lawsuits. And my concern is I'm going in for surgery on May 28th. I'll be recuperating in that apartment. And if he's given the CO on that building, I will not get any rest because as of right now, because of the way it's zoned, which I didn't know when I signed my year lease on July 31st last year. The lights are so bright, they go through 2 layers of curtains at night. My room is still lit up, even though I have 2 layers of curtains and light dampening shades. None of which I knew. I didn't know he was going to be putting up this building. I didn't know that any of that was going to happen. When I moved in, there was a field in front of my apartment. He stopped paying me. I worked for him. He's no longer a part of the company that I work for, thank God. But he stopped paying me. He stopped taking my rent from me so that he could evict me. And now I'm being bullied right out of my apartment and there's nothing I can do about it, which is fine. And I know that the town can't do anything about it, and that's fine. But I know that there's probably at least a couple handfuls of people in this town that have been bullied by him. And I'm disappointed in the town. I really am. I know that you have to go by the law, and that's why I'm asking you tonight that he not be given that CO on that property until my lease expires on August 1st, unless he makes the other person move out of the other apartment that's there, because it is a single occupancy property. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll ask our, not in the meeting here, but we'll maybe ask our corporation counsel to at least look at the facts of that erosion, just see what's going on there. We'll definitely take a look at that and see what the town, if anything, can do about that.
And just really quickly, I have Mr. Kokomo on tape using the N-word in my place of employment. He called me and the people I keep company with a bunch of N-words.
Okay.
I have a 3-minute video of him saying that. He's not a nice person, people. And if you don't remember the lawsuit he won against the town, I mean, I'm sure you all do, because nobody would talk to me on the phone. I called Maureen 4 times and got no answer and had to call the town manager's office, at which point they knew the answer to the question I had because they'd all been speaking about it, but nobody could call me back. That's why I'm addressing you tonight. Because, I worry that everything, it just, fear of a lawsuit is ridiculous around here. It really is. I have 3 lawyers right now. 2 of them are federal. There's investigations. We're going to slam down on him. But I can't do anything about my living situation. All I can do is hope that you don't grant that certificate of occupancy.
All right. Well, I mean, we're certainly, are concerned to hear your issue, and we will, from the town's perspective, whatever we can do, we will certainly look into that.
And I appreciate that.
That situation, yeah, and see if there's any resolution. If we
Thank
can help you in any way within our, rights and regulations, we will.
I understand you're bound by the law, and all I would ask is that since it's a single occupancy property, that it maintain that, and he doesn't get an exemption on that.
All right, we'll take a look at that, and we have your contact information, or feel free to call the town manager's office tomorrow and give them your contact information. We'll have our.
You guys already have it. I've called several times. They know how to get in touch with me. They have my email address, and I'm Tobias Heady on Facebook.
All right. Okay.
All right.
We will
Thank you.
take a look at that. You're welcome. Anyone else in the audience of citizens to address us on anything? Hearing none, I will go ahead and close the audience of citizens and move on to our agenda, starting with our consent agenda. And we have 8 items on here: donations, tribute football, sell food and beverages, registration fee for the youth soccer camp, ice cream truck, sell at the pools, the playgrounds, I assume this summer, donations to fishing derbies, accept donations to our supplies expenditure account, additional donation of the voting stations and for equipment card organizers, and allowing people to vote, obviously, if they are legally allowed to vote in our referendum on April 27th. And it also held on May 25th. If we had a question on number 4, Kate, what do I do? Pull that out?
Yeah, so you're gonna, Brendan will move 1 through 3 and 5 through 8.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to approve consent agenda items 1 through 3 and 5 through 8 and put number 4 to the top of the new business.
Okay. Second. Okay, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
You can take up number 4 now.
So number 4, I think we just had a question on that, Charlie.
My question is the system. I'm not opposed to this at all. I just wondered, how do people apply to become a vendor in the park? Is there a competition, or is it the only person?
Can you guys hear me? It's Jen.
Hey, Jen. Yeah, we hear you.
The past few years, Deborah Tubbs has been the only ice cream truck that has requested any kind of permission in the town through Parks and Rec. I don't know if through the PD they've had any other requests for the streets. but through the parks and playgrounds, it's only been Deborah Tubbs the last few years.
That's fine, thank you. I just want to make sure it's a level playing field. It sounds like it's very level right now, so perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're happy to have anyone who had, it was just a question on procedure, so it's all good. Okay, we're gonna take a motion.
Okay, we'll make a motion to accept consent agenda number 4, which is now part of new business.
I think at this point you have to read the whole.
Oh, I'm
Oh, the whole yeah, because it'd be pulled
I'll
out.
make a motion to approve Deborah Tubbs Inc. or Ice Queen Food Trucks to sell ice cream, snacks, and beverages at the following parks playgrounds: Percival Pool, DeMar, Linda Bittner Jr. Memorial Pool, Sage Park, Little People's Playground, and the Friendship Place at Willard School.
Second on that.
Second it.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Isn't Memorial Pool supposed to be out of there?
Oh, yeah, there's no more Memorial Pool, right?
There's no more Memorial Pool.
There's 3 houses there. Maybe she could swing by the houses and sell some ice cream. That's okay, right?
Good catch, Peter.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we'll remove that from,
That's what then.
yeah. One less place for her to stop, right? Okay.
Hey guys, sorry, it's Jen again.
Yeah. Yes.
That's actually the full name of the pool in East Berlin.
Okay, well.
So that is a legit pool.
Lions Club Memorial Pool.
Oh, that, right, the other one was Lions Club, right, Memorial?
Right.
Where's this one?
This one's the East Berlin one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the other one was Lions Club Memorial Pool, right?
Yeah.
For those of us remember the mud puddle that it was like that. Okay, so we're good with the motion. We voted and we're good, and good luck to Deborah. I guess we're glad she's here because she's the only one that wants to bring snacks to our folks, which is, and kids, which is great. Okay, so new business. On new business, we have our ordinance. Right. Well done.
That's the first item on the agenda, the public hearing last time, and it's back to you.
Back to us.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I think this is in front of the Board of Finance tonight, right?
Yeah.
And speaking to just one of the members off the cuff, I mentioned this, and I know at least one person had a bunch of questions, which I assume they will discuss tonight. I mean, I would like to hear their input if they have some. I don't know if there's is there a time frame on this? If they, you know, want more info or they have some issues with it. I mean, I'd like to. What's the best way to handle this? If kind of like to know what they have to say, or what if they have any other different conclusion than we may have.
So Mr. Delaney is on the Zoom meeting.
Okay.
The Board of Finance was going to wait until after you voted on this. You
We have to send it to them.
You have to
Yes,
send
okay,
it to
that's what I
the
kind
Board
of
of
thought, yes, okay.
We can always send it
I
back.
don't know if.
Yeah, we could get it back, right? Can we get it back if they,
Yeah, if they don't want to approve, they'll send it back.
it'll come back, right? Yeah,
I think so.
that's what I thought. Yeah, is that right, Counselor? Jeff, do we? Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's fine.
Correct.
Okay, so, all right, I just wanted to make sure there was, if for some reason they had some overriding problems that, you know, we weren't aware of or weren't thinking about, that it, you know, we should come back and fix it or deal with it. Okay. All right, so we went through the public hearing. Obviously, it was explained to us. We'll go ahead and have a motion and send it to the Board of Finance.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion to move an ordinance appropriating $1,500,000 for townwide energy conserving light upgrades in 2021, to authorize the issue of $1,500,000 of bonds of the town to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, making of temporary borrowings for such purposes be adopted.
Second on that?
I second it.
Okay, and then I know we discussed it at length and had the public hearing. So any other questions, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Agenda item number 2 is an update from Chief Klett on the motor vehicle thefts and larcenies. what we're doing.
Evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We got you.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Very good. Okay, so last meeting, I updated you on where we were, the stats I had for them for the month of March. So we are now 20 days into April, and good news because we are down from 6 stolen cars last month to 1, and that was at the beginning of the month from a business. We had 3 catalytic converters, and that was 1 incident, and we've only had 11 attempts to get into vehicles. So I like to say that I'd like to think it was our efforts that were paying off, but I'm not going to take full credit. I think one of our main players might be in jail at the moment. So, but doing much better. We're getting a lot more community engagement. Like I said the last time, we're getting a lot more calls. We've interrupted these people 5 times and chased them off. So, we're still staffing it to 4 officers, and we're doing increased motor vehicle enforcement, not only for the routine stuff, but we also have a grant to do distracted driving. But I think the increased presence of the officers out there is visible, and it may be having something of an effect. So, but we have good news so far this month, and we're down, like I said, 67% down on break-ins to cars. We're down 70% from last month on catalytic converters, and we're down 83% on stolen cars for the month so far. Okay, so we're doing good so far. Any questions?
No, Chief, appreciate you, filling us in. Obviously, I think we all probably get questions, so that's why I just want to keep us updated, and that's certainly good news. Let's hope the trend continues that way, right?
Yeah, we're hoping as these courts get back into session, I think we're going to see more of these people taken off the street, and that should help things. I think we had a perfect storm here with COVID and the court shutting down and all that. So I think things are going to, I'm hoping anyway, they're going to improve.
Okay, that's good news. Yeah, let's hope that continues. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Great news. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I think we're good. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Agenda item number 3 is a request from the Orland Housing Authority to extend the option agreement with the Knights of Columbus property. Mr. Bajowski's on the line.
Okay. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, Councilman. Thank you. So, Mr. Mahoney has been appointed to our development team to facilitate, the transmission of information back and forth between the town and the housing authority and the development team. That's one development. The other development is we have our CDBG consultant on board, and we're moving towards making application for the CDBG grant that's due in June. And we anticipate, and I say we, the development team anticipates that we should have most of our funding in place between September and December of this year. That's the reason for the extension through December 31st. So we'll see how it goes as we move forward. But at this point, I feel that the December timeframe should allow us to get, pretty much all our funding in place, ready to go for the new year.
Okay, and right, didn't you tell us last time, Joe, we're able to get those, 4%? Were we looking at those 4% tax credit?
4% tax credit. We have not submitted application as of yet. No, we got to refresh a couple of documents, the marketing study, the traffic study, the phase 1 environmentals have to be refreshed. And we have to do some work on the building plans, the engineering documents and things like that. We've made some changes. We're going to be going with the geothermal heating component and cooling component for the building. So that was different than originally anticipated. So we're making some changes in that venue. We're going to try to make this as an energy efficient building as possible. So there's some grant money available for those applications, and we're going to take advantage of it.
And it certainly sounds like to us, based upon, I think, your last report and tonight, that we appear to be, thank goodness, much further along, right, with financing. And the good news, as unfortunately has not been the case in some of our past years, right?
No, we are moving forward. There's been some changes, you know, like I said, the HUD 202 program has changed some of their criteria, so we're exploring that. There's some additional monies available in the brownfield program that we're going to explore getting. That will go towards demolition of the existing structure, and then site prep work with respect to the lead and the asbestos tile and stuff like that inside the existing structure. You know, and then the CDBG grant is going to go towards extending water, sewer, gas, and other infrastructure onto the property, broadband. And like I said, there's been more money coming out from energy conservation, for lack of a better term. They have some grants for geothermal, which is exciting. So basically, before we would have to finance all our HVAC components. Now we can basically pay for them through the grant, and it will allow us to be much more energy efficient with the geothermal application than we would otherwise be. So, you know, the funding mechanisms out there have changed. There's been more money coming out of DC, and that money's flowed down through the state agencies. So we're taking advantage of that.
Well, that's good to hear. Finally, I know it was always, as always with everything, it's always a funding issue. And this has been one of the most difficult ones probably most of us have seen.
Yes.
With any town project, but I appreciate you keeping on it, and it looks like it's headed for brighter days.
Yes, you know, in all honesty, I anticipate most of our funding being closed by the end of the year. So if that indeed turns out to be the case, then we should be able to break ground sometime in the spring of 2022. But again, you know, that's provided that we get all our funding squared away. And as you know, there's always hiccups along the way. So I feel that this extension will get us through that hiccup period, and, you know, we should be good to go.
Yeah, we've had enough hiccups. Let's hope we're done with it. Hopefully we've gotten rid of those with this project, but
yes,
desperately needed, and appreciate you know, continuing to fight for it and move forward. Any other questions, council members? No, it's positive. Yeah, it's positive.
It's exciting.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Not a problem.
Take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the town manager to extend the option agreement between the town and Berlin Housing Authority from an end date of March 31st, 2021 to a new end date of December 31st, 2021.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. I'll hang around for the bridge discussion on topic 5.
Okay.
Agenda item number 4 from Park and Rec summer programs. Summer is approaching, and last year we didn't offer any summer programs. And I think we have been working really hard to try and get the programs going, and while observing all of the regulations from the state and district. So I'll turn it over to Debbie to give you an update on what we plan to do.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, Deb.
As you can see, I did a brief summary about the covered basically the pools and the summer fun program. It's been a challenge this year for the pools. I'd like to open both pools, but there definitely will have to be some limitations. I lost a lot of staff over the last 2 years, and it's been very difficult trying to get new staff this year. Just because of COVID, there were less lifeguarding classes offered. So I'm down probably 5 or 6 right now. I'm hoping to have a few more certified in May, and we'll continue to advertise to try to get more. But every town around us is having the same issue, trying to get these kids into classes and then try to get them hired for the summer. But again, I think with one pool last year, it went well, but I'd like to see both pools open so we can provide more time slots for people. And the state just came out with some more guidelines today, and they mirror pretty much what we did last summer with having people sign up for time slots. They have to be socially distant. You can only have so many people on the deck. So I guess last year was a good test for us. So now that we know what we're doing, we should be able to implement it at both facilities. Just my concern is I don't have a lot of supervisory staff, and I have, I think, 8 staff who've never guarded before. So that will limit what we can offer as far as open swim goes. We might have to close a pool 1 or 2 days a week if we don't have proper staffing to put in place. It's not ideal, but I think just we have to really follow the rules that are out there, and also we just have to provide the safest environment for everyone. So I didn't want it to be a shock for people if that was going to be the case. I wanted to have the discussion with the Roche and let people know that this is kind of the reality this year, unfortunately, and hopefully next year we can get back to just regular pool sessions. So that's as the pool, as far as the pools go. And the summer fun program, we did not do anything last year. So I'm looking to do both sites that we have done previously, Pistol Creek and then the community center, but only at 50% capacity. And that will allow us to follow the guidelines that have come from the OEC and the CDC, as far as still have social distancing. Everyone will have to wear masks. The staff will have 2 staff per group. So in case someone gets sick, they'll be able to remove the child, and then we'll have someone with the rest of them. So it'll be a challenge, but I think we can get through it. A lot of other towns ran programs last year. So I've been in contact with quite a few and trying to do a lot of Zoom meetings and get a lot of information, again, to try to provide the best programming that we can for the town of Berlin.
Okay, thank you, Deb. I appreciate our Park and Rec department. I know working hard through quite unusual circumstances that none of us have faced before. So certainly appreciate, sounds like things will be a little bit better this year, which is, I think, what we're hoping for. And I think we knew it wouldn't be 100%. We all know that we're still dealing with the COVID issues, right, in many different ways. So, but we appreciate, what you're doing, and hopefully can have a little bit better year for our Park and Recs and our townspeople. So, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, swim lessons will be a challenge. I only have 4 instructors. I've had 8 in the past, and they're limiting classes to 4 per class. So our classes used to be 6 to 10. So there are just so many restrictions that have to be put in place. It's going to impact what we do. And that the other thing I had mentioned on there was swim team. And I just, with the lack of supervisory staff and the lack of these older kids to manage the pools, we just don't have the manpower to be able to provide it. And they have very strict restrictions also, where in the past we've had 76 kids and 81, and then this year we'd only be able to have 48 total. So it's not really the decision that I want to make, but it will allow us to at least have more open swim time for people and try to provide some swim lessons. It's just very difficult.
I mean, we understand. Again, we appreciate your efforts, and we know, we are bound by, what's happening with the health issues and COVID, and obviously, you don't have staffing, and things are still a mess from last year, and didn't think they would clear it that quickly, but at least we're moving in the right direction. So thank you for your efforts.
Deb, I have a quick question about, you were saying that they're still looking for lifeguards. Is there sort of a deadline you're looking at right now to try and get extra lifeguards if possible?
No, I mean, we'll try to get them up until, the pool's open. I mean, we normally do training the beginning of June. There have been a lot of classes recently. I know there's some more classes that towns are running. We don't have an indoor pool, so we're at a disadvantage. We're not able to offer classes like other towns are, but we're getting some kids that have taken classes with the Y. So that has helped us. It's really, the hard thing is a lot of 16-year-olds, they don't have the experience. So we'd like to get them in to get them the experience. So at some point, I'll have to stop. But like I said, I'm probably about 4 or 5 short right now. So I still will be continuing to look just to try to get some more in there.
Good to know, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Deb? Okay. Thank you, Deb. Appreciate the update.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Deb.
Okay.
Item number 5 is a Eagle Scout project, and it's requesting authorization for a bridge to be constructed in the rear of Town Hall complex. Funding for materials. Mr. Mahoney is on the call, and I believe Eagle Scout is his name there on the line as well. Jim, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Jim.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've been working on the idea of trying to get this bridge to connect the Town Hall complex to Percival Field for quite a while. And the Housing Authority has granted us an easement because it needs to go through the Marjorie Moore property. And we have identified Caleb Julius as a Eagle Scout who's interested in building the bridge for us. He's going to have to go through some more steps after tonight because he needs inland wetlands approval and also that the building department sign off on his bridge plans. But he's making great progress and we're taking it a step at a time. So hopefully the council tonight will support not only the concept of the bridge, but also some funding to help him with the construction. And we did provide similar funding for the bridge project that Brent Catan had built out at Bicentennial a couple of years ago.
Okay, obviously something we've tried to accomplish for a long time to connect these areas, and you know, we certainly, as always, the Eagle Scouts come through with some great town projects to help us, and it's great that they have that community commitment. So yeah, no, it seems like a great thing, and the funding, you know, to me is personally is not. It's a nominal amount to help them out with some. I know it's, you know, these projects are a little bit complicated, so I know we've done it in the past, as you mentioned, Jim. Appreciate you reminding us of that. And yeah, that's great. It's a great thing. I know we still got a little more to go. You know, a few more commissions to go through, but sounds great to me. Councilors, what do you guys think?
I think it's a wonderful idea. I just want to say thank you for everything that Boy Scouts do. It's wonderful that you get out there and you give back to the community that you live and work in. And it's nice. It's very, very nice that you do that. You certainly have my support.
Okay.
Yes, I would say no better person than Caleb Julius to build this bridge. So good luck to you, young man.
Good. All right, so we'll go ahead and no other comments, go ahead and take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve a bridge project at the rear of the Marjorie Moore Village in an easement area that the town acquired from the Berlin Housing Authority, subject to approvals by the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission, Berlin Housing Authority, and the Building Department to authorize a grant of $800 to Caleb Julius for the purchase of materials for his Eagle Scout Bridge project in the open space account.
Second on that?
I second it.
Thanks. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Opposed? Yeah, good luck, and honestly, we know you're going to do a great job, and we know you're going to do a job with $800, and I'm sure some other donations, much less expensive to the town taxpayers than if we hired a private contractor. So we appreciate you picking up this project and running with it, and yeah, good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Great.
Thank you, Caleb.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, thanks for coordinating all of
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it very much. Agenda item number 6 pertains to Timberland Golf Course. It's a bit waiver for Stonehenge Landscaping. Salvio.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I'm looking to waive the town's bidding procedure for Stonehenge Landscaping of Newington to provide labor and equipment to complete the project between holes 5 and 6. They're providing, again, labor and equipment to move material, grade material, and then hydroseed the area to complete the project we started in the winter of 2020. So they've done work for us in the past. The reason I'm asking for this is in the fall of 2020, we expended $6,780 with them for the reconstruction of our number 12T. Consequently, that with this project, which is bid at $9,950, that would put us over the $10,000 limit. So I'm asking that you allow me to retain their services so that we can get this on the calendar and get it done.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. And obviously, we are confident, as you are, that you're happy with their work. Obviously, or you wouldn't be talking to us about it. So it's good to hear. Yeah. Any other questions from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Have we ever used anyone else at the course?
Absolutely. The problem becomes a couple of issues, especially now with you know, the pandemic, is a lot of people are very, very busy. More importantly, a lot of companies don't want to touch quote unquote small projects like this. They want bigger, longer term projects. So Stonehenge has a very good track record. They've done work over at Tournament Players Club, as well as numerous courses, private and municipal, throughout Connecticut. We found their work to be very good. They have a very good crew. They work with us as far as scheduling is concerned. There's minimal disruption to play when they're there because they do or have that track record of working on golf courses, so they understand how it all works. So absolutely, to answer your question, yes, we can look to other companies, and we do. I reached out to 3, 2 of them in state, 1 of them out of state, and none of the 3 were interested in a project of that scope.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments, Jerry? Questions? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Jerry, for that. And with that, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Okay. Move to waive the town's bidding procedure for Stonehenge Landscaping to provide the labor and equipment needed to complete the project located between holes 5 and 6. The amount not to exceed $17,000, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second. Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
So agenda item number 7 and 8, part of the same project. We are relocating the server room that is located downstairs. I call it prime real estate, but at the same time, many moons ago, it was identified as a high-risk area. It's on the main entrance and the hallway in front of the assessor, town clerk, and the hallway towards the center area. In addition to that, we have also had issues with a couple of staff members, especially one in the finance office that is in a space that is non-compliant without HVAC. It's been going on for quite a few years. We want to move the server room up here. Previously, that was occupied by the IT director. Brian will talk to the technology aspect of it. This is a multi-year project. First, we need to do the room right with the fire suppressant and the temperature controls and all of that. We'll talk about that. First part of the project requires us to move the racks. And the second one, the servers themselves need to get replaced probably next year. They are way beyond their useful life, and I would like to mitigate that risk. We don't want to be in a situation where the assessor's office, revenue collector, town planner, all the applications on those servers. And if you use technology, after a while, your iPhone doesn't work. So we don't want to get to that point, and this is a planning process, and I'm glad Brian is on board. He's helping me out with managing the whole aspect of it. And I'll turn it over to Brian for agenda item number 7, talk about the technology piece of it. And I'll come back to agenda item number 8. That will be available. Brian, over to you.
Good evening, Arosh, Mr. Mayor and Town Council members. We are seeking approval for $12,671 for Winslow Technology to purchase the hardware that's needed for this project. That would include a 42U rack, power distribution units, power supplies, cable management, hardware, and a keyboard, video, and mouse unit. I'll be doing, myself and the rest of the IT team will be doing the actual labor of moving all the components from its existing rack to the new rack. And in addition to that, we're not asking for funding for this tonight because it's under $10,000, but just to let you know the scope of the project, we are running, we like to run fiber from the new server room down to the town core. That'll give us a much more increased speed, plus also fiber runs to the 2 legs of the first floor of Town Hall. So we'll have further ability with switches on either end of the hallways in Town Hall. And we've worked with Winslow Technologies before. I did get a second quote, even though Winslow is under state contract from Dell Direct, and it came in several $1,000s higher for the same equipment. So this, and by the way, this equipment we'd be requesting this whether we did the server room move or not, just due to the age of the equipment. So it's just good timing that we would be able to get part of this equipment done now and not have to move the equipment a second time. I don't know if there's any questions.
That's good. Yeah. Any questions for Brian? No, we're happy we're moving forward. Some of this we know we need much of, many of these upgrades in the Town Hall, so our IT program. So, okay, if not, we're going to take a motion.
Okay, we'll move to award the contract to Winslow Technology Group of Waltham, Mass. The amount of $12,671 using state contract number 18 PSX 0264 AG. Purchase of computer hardware for the server room.
Second on that?
Second.
Motion, we have a motion. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Brian. Agenda item number 8.
Thank you.
Second part of that project that I mentioned, getting the room ready for the appropriate conditions, and Doug available to give us an explanation on what he plans to do, what he's requesting. Doug?
Good evening, Arosh, Kate, Mr. Mayor, councilors. How are you?
Good.
Yes, just as Arosh said, this is kind of part 2 in conjunction with the relocation. So just looking to upgrade the system from 2003, get everything up to date, and prevent any failures in the near future or have to work within the new room once it's built out.
Okay, yeah. I would agree that the fire suppression system being up to date is probably very important. And I'm glad we're, getting that done. So, good stuff. Any other questions for Doug? Okay, if not, we'll take a motion.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to utilize the state of Connecticut DAS contract number 17 PSX 0039, authorize Encore Fire Protection of Middletown, Connecticut, to perform the fire suppression system upgrade at the Berlin Town Hall 3rd floor server room in the amount of $22,951, which includes a 10% project contingency.
Thank you. Second on that?
A second.
Okay, any other comments or questions for Doug? Hearing none, vote on the motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Agenda item number 9. It's a contract award to consulting engineering services for the elementary school HVAC project. Mr. Mike Ahern.
Yes. Good evening, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, I don't think this is a surprise, this project, because this the town council referred this to the PBC, Public Building Commission, back last year for the elementary schools HVAC systems. So the Willard School update is presently underway. That was approved for $26,000, and that Consulting Engineering Services, or CES, did the original design for that school. So we're getting a kind of a deal because they're just updating their design drawings and documents. The PBC wants to take advantage of any funding that's coming out, COVID related or otherwise, which apparently we're hearing about anyway. So they're requesting to have the full HVAC design done for both Griswold School and for the Hubbard School. So they want to take advantage of any funding that comes out from the feds or state or wherever. So they want to sort of tee these things up. Plus, it will provide the basis for construction cost estimates for capital planning going forward, which was the intent of the referral. So I talked with Kevin in finance, and the way we can fund this is there's money left from the Board of Ed. It went back to the town. And it's now in this refund of expenditures account. So what we can do is we can fund the $26,000 and the 75 and 58, totaling 159,000 from this refund expenditure account by putting it into individual school accounts, which is in your package. And that would have to be approved by the Board of Finance. So I'm here representing, or on behalf of the Public Building Commission, making this request.
Okay, well, that's good. A project that we know has to get done, and we approved it a while ago, and it's great that we actually have some funding for it already. So that's good news. Any other questions for Mike? If not, we'll go ahead and take a motion.
Well, we have two, so.
Yes, thank you.
First one, I move to appropriate $159,000 from the general fund refund of expenditures revenue account to the general fund HVAC Willard, $26,000, HVAC Griswold, $75,000, and HVAC Hubbard, $58,000. Accounts pending approval of the Board of Finance.
Second on that. Second. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Second motion.
Sure. The second motion, I move to waive the bidding process and award Consulting Engineering Services, Inc. of Middletown, Connecticut, the contracts to prepare HVAC design documents for the Mary E. Griswold School in an amount of not to exceed $75,000, for the Hubbard Elementary School in an amount not to exceed $58,000, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that. Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Just hang in there. Don't go anywhere. Agenda item number 10 is we're bringing back the mailbox. Image. We fixed this in February 2nd, 2021, and then there was another request, and we went back and did some research. And I'll turn it over to Mike, sort of explain what we have found the towns do.
Sure. You may recall we updated, or actually you updated at our request, the policy back in February to increase the reimbursement policies, which were a little out of sync with what you would be paying at Home Depot or Lowe's. After that, and that went to $35 for a mailbox and $40 for a post. After that, the council asked us to do some research on what other towns are doing and where their numbers are. So both the CCM and our staff reached out to as many towns as we could. We got 16 responses, and it's in the table in your package. And as you can see, it's sort of about half do reimbursements similar to our policy, and then half do full replacements with conventional or standard mailboxes. Some do both, they'll replace or reimburse. Our numbers are in line with towns like West Simsbury, Weathersfield, Reading's a little lower than us. Some towns that are higher are Bloomfield, and New Canaan has up to $150. So anyway, so you see by the table there, we're kind of in the mix. So I guess I'm putting this out here for discussion to see if any residents have made any more complaints or if the town council wants to adjust the policy that's in place right now.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure.
For the research. I mean, I had a couple complaints after we had made that policy, obviously in the winter. I still stand by my suggestion. I'd like to vote on it if we can, to $100 even for everything, which to me still seems pretty fair to, all the taxpayers. It's not a large appropriation for people if we do damage them, and I don't think there's that many every year, and that seems like it would be in line with most of this, a little more, more than some, and less than a few others, I guess. But that seems to be a number that so we'd go up with $25 from what we have now, right? From the last time we.
Right.
That would be my thoughts. Other thoughts, please.
Question?
Yes.
Mike, do we pay if it appears we damaged it, or like these other towns said, it has to be deemed hit by a town plow?
Yeah, well, I have some past experience in another town with this, and the policy as stated is most towns will say it's got to be hit, but in most cases we sort of, unless we're not going to send the FBI out, if it's a really bad storm, we have heavy snow, I think we usually lean towards being more reasonable than less. So I did work for someone back in the day who would send people out and do a full investigation, and it didn't really amount to much savings. So a lot of these towns probably do the same thing. They'll tell you it's got to be direct hit. The one thing that we don't do is if the post is rotted and we go out and you can see it was rotten, or if we think a private plow contractor hit it because of the direction of the post, you can sometimes go out and tell these things. But really our policy would be, if I guess it's open to interpretation. In most cases, we're getting, Lisa ran some numbers, we're getting between 20 and 40 on average of claims per winter. So it's not like 500. So for that amount, we usually, we tend to be more reasonable with the residents on that.
Thank you. Anyone else? So I'd like to take a motion, if we could, to revise our policy to $100. I think, what I would base that on is, certainly the cost of things, but it looks like, right, we didn't update it until last update a few months prior, right, since 1997. So hopefully when we update it now, we're good for a few years. Things always go up, nothing goes down. And I know that's still probably a very low price for a post in a mailbox, but I think it's fair for everyone. So we could do a motion. Yes,
Would you still split that with the box and post?
But
sometimes they only lose the box.
Yeah, maybe we could do 50 each. Does that make sense to split it like that? What do you think, Mike? Yeah?
Yes, that's a good approach.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense, Charlie. Thanks for that. Brendan?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion to increase the reimbursement for mailbox damage by town snow plows to 50% or $50 for a mailbox and $50 for a post.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second it.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Nay.
No. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And town manager's report.
All right, how about that?
Wow, what happened? Look at this.
So,
through this agenda.
You have plans for the evening? Keep it short.
So all the other time that you shortened it, you could lengthen it.
You got an hour. Go ahead.
We have plenty of time.
There's still daylight outside. A few updates. We just want to inform you what we are doing with the, I would call it improving PD retention. That was the issue at hand, right?
Yep.
We found that some of the officers joining or leaving, and we are spending money training them. And the question is asked if there's anything that we can do to try and retain them so that we don't lose them at a high rate. So I'll get to the punchline first. We don't have a recommendation, but I want to tell you where we are. It's pretty much all over the lot. So first we looked at CMERS, which is the Connecticut Municipal Retirement System. We presented to you, and Kevin and I both will not recommend that because it's a very high risk tool to manage pensions because the way it works, the entire risk is back on the town. So each year they will tell you how much the pension liability is underfunded, and you have to just write a check. And there's some years it's up to 24%, 25% liability. So, I don't think we should be considering that. I think we moved away from that. Then we looked at a town proposal, pretty much based on, taking the last 3 years of an officer's salary, if they work for 25 or 30 years, numbers to be determined, 2% of that times the number of years of service. That didn't get much traction from the PD, and they came up with a counter proposal, and I will spare you the details. That will catapult us back to pretty much a tier 1 type of plan. Higher in terms of including overtime, etc., for the last 3 years, which we didn't want to do. And right now, the way it is, I don't feel comfortable recommending something like that because the town will be absorbing that risk. And that's one of the reasons we got out of it. So one of the recommendations I have, and I'll work through this, is to perhaps have a hybrid plan. They have a defined contribution plan, and can we have a DC plan that is more manageable, where they contribute around 1% or 2%, and the town adds another 2%. What I would propose that we do is to try to address the problem, which is to say, come up with a plan for the new officers. And then if the existing ones want to buy in, they can buy into the plan by using their what's in the defined contribution plan. So I don't have the numbers with it, but that might be a better approach. And see, my goal is to try and mitigate the risk for the town. What is not, I don't think is appropriate, and would be to not know what the exposure is each year and then not fund it. And that might not be a good way to go about it. But if we know the 1%, 2%, 3% of the salary, what we can do is to think about something that is scalable. So if you're trying to entice people to stay, you can have a hook by saying the longer you stay, the higher you would contribute to your defined contribution plan, and you would know that number every year. So if you're okay with that, we'll try to work something and just bring it for discussion and consideration.
Yeah, thanks, Hiroshi. I know you guys are working on it, and yeah, I agree. I would imagine. I mean, I agree. Everyone can say their piece, but we don't want to get in a situation we find ourselves in now. That we obviously had that whatever plan they had, the defined contribution plan, and with the lump sum, and God only knows how they got that one, but then it wasn't funded on top of it. So whatever decision we make now, we know we don't want to put the town in that situation for future generations. I mean, that plan was from what, 20 years ago or something like that, right? And so yeah, but on the other hand, we do want to make sure that we, contribute to their retirement what seems to be fair and what seems to be in line with other towns, that they're doing, and obviously want to keep our officers after we train them and spend that money, and they're on the job for 3 years. I think 3 years they have to stay right under the current regime, I think 3 years, and then they could leave.
I think it's 2.
Is it 2? Is that short? So I mean, we put all that money into it, then they leave in 2 years, or 2 or 3, whatever it might be, and that's another figure we should figure in that we may pay a little bit more for their retirement, but we keep them for a career here, which would be the hope, I think, of everyone. So my 2 cents. Anyone else? We good? We'll just continue working on it. Okay. Good. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And I know town staff too.
Second item, I want to talk to you about the senior center, community center. Because of COVID, we haven't had the opportunity to share all the information with the community and open forums and dialogue and discussion. It's at a point with the Public Building Commission that you want to think about at a certain point bringing it to a referendum, but a lot needs to be done before that. What I propose that we do is try, and I think we can do this safely, perhaps in the building, high school auditorium, organize a couple of public forums, have Q&M come, present, give an opportunity for folks who want to be there in person to come in person, others who want to join by Zoom. We did it very nicely. If you can get a turnout like the Golf Commission, that'll be marvelous. Have them ask questions and for people to really understand, first of all, what is this going to look like and what is the cost? And also perhaps talk about operating costs and other things, and keep it really educational, but at the same time get feedback from the people. I don't think we got a lot of feedback. People did send email and other comments that they have responded on the website. Very nicely done. But if you ask QAM too, that they think you need to engage the community. And Donna Bouvet approached me, and one of the things she has asked, I think is a great idea, is to have like a small subcommittee champion this, or like who's going to make sure that people come to the meetings, provide events. She's willing to work with the group or chair the group. That's to be determined. And there's a lot of interest and excitement out there, and at least give it to the people. And at the end of the day, they have to decide what you want to do with it. So I'm interested to hear from you, what you have to say. And if this is the direction you want to go, I'll be happy to coordinate a couple of public forums and do that in person and get the information out.
I think that's outstanding. Absolutely. I mean, people are getting vaccinated, numbers are improving, so there's really no reason for us not to do so. Right. We don't want to hear after the fact that we didn't inform the community.
It's an important decision for the town.
Yeah, I think we talked about this, and then COVID came, right? So the whole thing was kind of a mess, and we still don't have a dollar amount though on this, right? The presentation we got, we saw the plans, but there was no funding. Do we have? I didn't think we had an amount. I don't remember an amount. Didn't we ask them how much will it cost?
I thought when they presented the council and the Board of Federal,
did they have
a year ago, it was in the range of 25 to 30.
Okay. As long as we have some type of numbers.
But a lot has to do with the pool, the size of the pool, 1 pool or 2 pools. I mean, it's their plan right now, based on what people ask.
Yes.
So there's a lot of work to be done, back and forth, and try to understand what kind of end result do you want.
Right. Oh yeah. Right. And also, right, when we locked into that location, if we're unsure. I mean, was that? I don't remember. That was. I know they looked at other locations, right? Yeah, but that was the best. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't
in high school, you talking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the best until I hear this. I don't know. The second pool, they needed to do something special because it's a flood zone. I question if that's the best if it's a flood zone, but I know that's probably further down that property, I guess.
Way down.
Yeah. The 100-year flood, when it comes, and it seems to always come, less than 100 years, I guess, and then we're like, oops, and that's going to be a $30 million building that we're going to put there, and it's at risk if it's at any risk, I don't know. I mean, that's just questions.
Traffic studies too, I'm sure need to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a high traffic area there.
You're gonna stick traffic by the high school? I'm not so sure that was the best. Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to be in Portland and not be in Portland.
Well, that's true too. That's true too, yes. No, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, but definitely the public should hear it and you should hear their questions. And
Yeah, because I remember when we talked to them before, they said they usually have multiple public hearings. About
yes.
This. And I think actually the whole Zoom application could help with that.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to come out every night.
That's right, sure.
For it. So if you have that Zoom
oh yeah, no, I think it's great. No, we got to do it. We got to do a couple. Absolutely. You know, we have to start and get it out there because otherwise they don't understand what, where it is, what it costs. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think we're all
I think it's a great idea. Absolutely.
I think we knew what we had to do.
Obviously, if the council has questions, I'm sure.
We all have, well, now we're back to public building now, right?
It's with them.
It's with them, right? Yeah. Yeah, so
let's get it going and
absolutely.
Be open and because even the architects and the designers, if you're not asking them questions, they can't anticipate what the questions
are.
They have responded to all the questions that people submitted.
Yeah,
it's on their website, which is very nicely done. Speaking of more joint meetings, the council and the golf commission want to bring another group. That's I think I mailed the information out to everyone. National Golf Foundation, they're a consulting group that works around the country, especially municipal golf courses. So hear them out. There's no obligation, and they're in Florida, so they're not going to come in here for a presentation. So we'll have to do a Zoom meeting. Unfortunately, the dates that we discussed, Mr. Mayor, the high school is taken. So probably want to just do it and do a meeting like this. Everybody is thrilled now that we're using Zoom, so maybe it'll better. So we can talk about that.
We can probably do it for that one because that's just we just want to hear their presentation.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And then next time we can hopefully get together and talk in person with the golf commission, right?
Yeah.
I think last time it was great the public came, and maybe this one just get that next consultant presentation in there and move on from there.
Exactly. Yeah. Just some of you have seen this, but you haven't. You have to go and visit Sage One. It is gorgeous. It's spectacular. It's beautiful. Something that we can be proud of. Saw what it looked like before. If you go there now, it's just really a masterpiece. So
beautiful job.
How many days we raked that field to play? I
So
can tell you, believe me.
FYI, April 27th budget referendum. Still has to go through that. So all of you have it on your calendar, I presume. Tentatively speaking, I'm going to talk tomorrow to all the department heads about this and lining up with governor's schedule. I would like to think about opening the doors at Town Hall May 19th. We need to plan for that. I would still encourage people to make appointments if possible. People actually said, especially with like the building department, the planners, that they like it better. They come in and they actually meet the person, get the job done, rather than come in and find out, oh, the person's not here because they're on the deal somewhere. So especially with the assessor's office, all those places. So, but I think we can do it safely unless something changes between now and then. But I would like to get to a point that we can open the doors and get people to come in. And some people are a little anxious, but we'll get through this. And by then, more people are getting vaccinated. We'll still require people to wear masks indoors, their distance, and have hand sanitizers all over the place. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions or any other.
Have you heard anything about Brian? How he's doing?
Yes, I heard today. So he's doing well. He's actually wants to join in on meetings, and he wants to join the Board of Ed meeting. He's ready to go. He was actually, hit from the side, that he actually T-boned him on the side, so he broke one of his ribs and collarbone and
scapula.
yes, I know he's lucky. He's lucky.
He's lucky.
You know,
Very good. It was lifestyle.
and he had his helmet, right? So
Yeah, wear a helmet.
wear a helmet.
Brothers today and the helmet on.
So we're all happy that he's doing well, and he's in recovery. I think Gaylord.
Yeah, they're, yeah, so I was trying to get him over there. I'm not sure if there's facility that
home today. So yes, he's doing he seems to be functioning really well. It's just anxious to get back, but it'll be a while.
Yeah, I would imagine it's gonna take a while with that much damage, but that's good. He's doing well. Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
Across from the high school, is that where they put all the trees that fell during the storm? And they chipped them, right?
Yeah.
And I saw something smoking there today.
That's just the chips.
Chips are heating.
Chips are heating. They were loading payloaders from another payloader.
Okay.
And it looked like it might have been mulch.
I don't know how good.
They have a linear grinder, making like shredded mulch, not like chips.
Yeah, well,
And
that's,
and when that stuff's stacked, it'll steam.
It'll heat it.
And it looks like it's smoking.
yeah.
Mike's on the line to that.
Yeah, they didn't seem too concerned about it. You know, they kept going.
We'll find out. I'll let you know.
Would the town Facebook page and website talk about something about the referendum?
Oh, absolutely. The referendum is already out there on the breaking news. Okay. And you want to say something? The spotlight, but you're also getting requests, right? Your office.
Yes, yes. So we have been issuing absentee ballots. As per usual, my office works very well with the registrars, and registrars have been working very hard to get the tabulators all set up and the schools and that whole bit. So, and line up, the hardest thing for them is probably the election workers, but they do an outstanding job, and we just encourage people to come out and vote. So the ballot boxes are available that is being used for the referendum, and people are dropping off their absentee ballots in those boxes.
Oh, that's good.
We check them every day, and except for the weekends, and because we're going to issue probably maybe about 55 absentee ballots, so it's reasonable.
I mean, it's next week, right? It's next Tuesday. Yeah. Coming up.
Yep.
All right.
So it'll be it's the 27th. All right, and all the regular polling places are open, and they're open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
That's good. Yeah, because I would imagine I was thinking people just, we didn't do it last year, so they probably just kind of forget about it, right? Yeah. I mean, once you don't do it, forget, drifts off, so it's good to get it out there.
And I think what helps too, especially after the presidential, is we do permanent absentee balloting. So anyone who is disabled or suffers from a severe illness, they can give me a doctor's note and they automatically just send a ballot. So we issue like 44 ballots just based on that. It's a program I really love because the individual doesn't have to go through the whole application process again. The ballot is automatically sent to them. They don't have to vote it, but this way they get it, they have the time to review the ballot and get it back to us.
Nice. Good. More voters, the better. Try and get them out there.
The worst thing is when somebody calls up like 2 days before and
they want absentee.
Yeah, and it's like, and especially when they vote every election.
Right, they know.
But thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Okay, that's it. Anything else for Roche? No, we're good. Thanks for Roche. Special committee reports. We had the golf committee. We were all there, I think. So we have that. We have all coming up. What none other, no, right? We didn't have any other, nothing, right? Yeah. Okay. Council communications. What do you guys got?
I've got something. The Kensington Firehouse, the parking lot there, and I'm not sure what the process is or what we can do to move this forward, but evidently Jeff Pear, who is the fire chief over there, had reached out to Joe Arsimowitz several years ago, and it was supposed to be in the works, and I don't know what happened, but I guess they're in dire need of a parking lot over there. It's in pretty rough shape, unsafe. I know that he's gotten some bids. How do we proceed with something like this? And I think we've helped them in the past with other projects because evidently the property is owned by the fire, the fire department.
I think Kensington is,
Kensington is. So it's a little, I'm not sure. So can we check into this? Can I have him reach out to you?
What do you want us to do?
Well, I don't know. Can we help them? They are one of our major firehouses. So if we've got an issue over there.
Paving the parking lot.
Funding?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what, right?
Yeah, I think they're looking for help. I think they're looking for help.
And the whole project.
Or handle the whole
yeah,
project. I don't know what the process is.
I don't know. I mean, right, obviously they own it. They have their own funds, but we do kick in money to the fire departments. Well, I think we own South Kensington
You
Avenue.
can maybe run through the Farmington Avenue beautification.
Go.
Is there any money left there?
Money left?
I thought we were all spent out there.
It'd be great if there's money left, if that works. Right. Yeah.
Does anybody,
Well,
yeah, it's wonderful if that
I don't know
works.
if it's left and the second one can be used.
Okay.
Yeah. I just don't know about the parking lot.
Does he have bids, prices, all that?
Yeah, I said to him, I said, you better get bids because I'm sure they're gonna look for that, so get a start. And anybody that's involved in construction in today's world, it's like a nightmare. You can't get wood, you can't get help, you can't get, anything. It's awful.
So this is paving at the parking lot? They're looking for help?
Yes.
What are you talking about, Joe?
Well, evidently, this process had been started years ago and nothing ever came to fruition. So
What, they want state funding they were gonna get?
I don't know what they were gonna get. I guess it might have been state funding that Joe had considered. And I certainly don't have a problem looking at that, but in our current fiscal situation, being where we are right now, I don't know what and if we can do anything that way. But certainly I think it's something that we need to look into somehow, some way.
Yeah, I know we help them when we obviously we buy their equipment, we buy their fire trucks. but
Well,
we
there was funding the boiler.
Or the boiler a
Oh, we
few years
fixed that,
ago, maybe
okay,
it
the
was.
building, yeah, okay, some building maintenance too, yeah.
So I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'll send you the email that he sent to me so that you'll have something to work with, and I'll have him reach out to you, and then whatever I can do, I'd be more than happy to as well. Yes, thank you, I appreciate that. That's all I have, thank you.
Is Jim Simon still the fire department?
Fire administrator.
Because I think he's the one that brought to us before the boiler problem for Kensington, or fire department years ago.
Maybe he knows how to
An
tackle
agenda
this.
discussing. So maybe he knows the process.
Yeah. Thank you.
The parking lot is a mess.
Oh,
that's
it's
for
awful.
Sure. It's a mess. If I assume they own that whole parking lot, I guess, right?
The whole thing, yeah. Because it's very mushy back there, it's wetlands back there, it's really, and who knows if it was done right years ago, you know how that goes, if you don't put the
Think of the
right
last time
foundation
that's
down,
been
forget
paved,
it.
who knows?
I don't know.
It's another flood zone, yeah.
I hate to say it's a
I'm sure it is a
pretty
flood
swamp,
zone.
guys, what can I tell you?
It's a fun zone.
All right. Yeah, right. What else we got? Any other council communications?
I just want to say that if anybody could possibly take any gratification in today's murder verdict, I do. And I am hopeful that moving forward with this George Floyd murder decision, the guilty verdicts about Chauvin, said this is just the beginning of what hopefully become more accountability moving forward by police and others that commit racial acts of violence.
Yes. Thanks, Joanne. Anyone else? Do we have any other comments? Councilors, we good? Okay, we'll close that. We'll do our accept motion for April 6th.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the April 6th council meeting minutes.
Second that motion.
Okay, thanks. Any corrections or comments on these? Not, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay, adjourn. Second, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Want to stay longer? No. Okay. So,
Charlie's out here.
We're adjourned. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff.
Good night, people, everybody.
Thanks. Good night. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Roche. Got through it.